On Tuesday afternoon, when I learned that we were in not only for an atmospheric river, but also for a bomb cyclone, I decided I needed to get ready. And particularly, I needed to get ready in case the power went out at my house. So the first thing I did was drive my car from its little parking space behind the parish hall over to the city lot where they have charging stations, because my car runs on battery power and I hadn't charged it the night before, and I was concerned that if the power indeed went out at my house, that I wouldn't be able to make it back to work in the morning. And then I went home and I dragged some large bottles up from the basement that we keep around for just that purpose, and got a hose and filled them up with water. Because if the power goes out, so does the pump from the well, and we don't have any water. And then I filled up the wood box, because if the power goes out, you don't have any heat. And then the power didn't go out. But it was okay. It was okay. It was actually quite exciting to ride out the storm, our first big storm in our new house. And, you know, it's always the first time going through something like that in a new place. You wonder, you know, is that roof going to stay on? Is that tree going to come down? But once you've gone through it, you feel a little more confident. And then the next day, as I was coming back from visiting one of our members in Medford, I saw lined up all along the shoulder for miles, all the semi-trucks waiting for the pass to be cleared of the snow so they could get over to California. And it was reassuring in a funny kind of way, after all of these days and weeks of anxiety about human abuses of power that might result from our politics, to remember that there are powers in the world that are beyond our control and are greater. There are things that impact our lives right here and now that are greater than whatever might be being cooked up in some back room full of smoke somewhere. Our gospel lesson today is a kind of a conversation between two people who have very different understandings of power. On the one hand, you've got Pontius Pilate, who is the procurator of that part of the Roman province of Judea that includes, the Roman province of Syria that includes Judea and Galilee. And for Pontius Pilate, power is essentially coercion. It's the ability to make other people do what you want them to do. And because other people don't like to be told what to do, that kind of power is always a bit tenuous. So Pontius Pilate is always on the lookout for someone who might be trying to take his away from him. And he's assessing this fellow Jesus of Nazareth, who has recently ridden into Jerusalem for the Passover at the head of a large throng of people who are hailing him as a prophet and crying, Hosanna in the highest heaven, hail to the kingdom of our ancestor David who is coming. And in fact, the people who have handed Jesus over to Pilate to be judged and condemned and executed have accused him very pointedly to Pilate of being one of those people who is vying with him for power, who wants to coerce him into giving his up so that he can take it. But Jesus is coming from, as he informs Pilate, a different place. He's coming from a different place with a different kind of power. Power of truth. The power of truth. Which is, you might say, the power to enable other people to see what you see. And to know what you know. And that's all that Jesus has been about. He makes it very explicit to Pilate that this is why he came from the place that he's coming from. This is his purpose, is to bear witness to the truth so that others can see what he sees and know what he knows, so that they can see love, so that they can know wisdom, so that they can see and know themselves as having their origin in that place where Jesus came from. That is not caught up in this world's struggle to dominate, to grasp what others have and claim it for oneself. Not caught up in vying with others for that ability to make them do what I want, but rather coming from the source of all life, of all truth, coming with grace and truth from God. And Jesus has been about showing anyone who's willing to see what it means to enter the world with that purpose. To come into the world motivated by that truth. Just wanting to share it. Wanting to help other people to see themselves and others as God sees them. Coming to heal them. Coming to nourish them. Coming to open their eyes to see if they're blind. Helping them to get up and start walking if they are stuck. Helping them to to know what he knows, to see what he sees, to love what he loves, to receive the gifts that he's received. And anyone who comes from that place, anyone who has that desire to share God's life and God's truth with other people, that person, says Jesus to Pilate, listens to my voice. Listens to my voice. So as we try to figure out where we go from here, that's the most important thing we can do. It's always been the most important thing, but especially when we are feeling anxiety about those people, like Pilate, who may wish to make us do things we don't want to do, who might be setting out to coerce other people, to subject them to the kind of dominating power that Pilate understood and lived by. The most important thing for us to do is to listen for Christ's voice. Together. Because it's not so much important that we know what human beings have to say about God, but what God has to say about us. That's what's really important in times like these. And there are a lot of people who are going to try to tell you what and who God is, what God wants, how Jesus fits into that picture. But what they're really trying to do is to get you to do what they want you to do. When what Jesus wants to do is to set you free and to make of you a kingdom of priests, of people who are in the world but not of the world, who are offering God the world, who keep listening for that voice of freedom, that spirit of forgiveness, that power of self-offering, and are willing to bear witness to it. As Jesus